Hello, it's Mike Kilgore again here with 3i Supply, and as you can see, we're going through these videos here to be able to try to give you guys some really cool information from 3i Supply. As you know, our focus is really on paver sealing, pressure washing, but paver sealing. So we sell a lot of sealer. It's over here on this side here. But the topic of this conversation today is about sand. And one of the biggest things that's helped us sell more jobs is having varieties of sand. This is a key in being able to sell more jobs, giving customers options. There's a lot of contractors that are diehard of this is the way that we do it and this is how we do it. But having a plethora of different options gives your customers the ability to be flexible, and they really, out of all the things that we've done, whether it be with Easy Nano Seal, Ninja Power Soft Wash, 3i Supply, one of the biggest things that has allowed us to close more jobs and be competitive in our marketplace is to offer different color sands. And so we started off with this about a year ago. We thought it was kind of fun and exciting, but I tell you, if you can incorporate the different colors, the different types of sands, you're going to give your customers options that's going to make you more desirable to them. So that's something that I think is going to be really good. So let's talk a little bit more about sand. Let's talk about levels of sand. This is a really interesting area of conversation, and I made a little diagram. I'm using a paver that's here that shows about levels of sand. Now, there's a lot of people that have different ideas of how to do sanding, whether it be dry sanding. I'm going to get to all those colors. I've got about 10 colors, so we're going to get through all those colors there. I had somebody pop that up here and ask a question, and we're going to get through all of them, but I'm going to try to go quickly because I don't want to make a 45-minute video. So I'm going to try to go really quickly. So this is your paver that's here. Can you, above the banner. There we go. So as you can see here, this is a paver that's here. Now the optimum sand level, as you can see, this is where the paver's on the top. It starts to come down, and this is the edge of the paver that's right here. And then as you can see, I drew this line right here. Now that's about 1/8 of an inch below the paver line there. That's where the line of sand is supposed to be. Too many people over sand by putting it up on the top. The problem is that as these pavers move around and they jostle back and forth and they do those kinds of things, if you have sand that's rock hard up onto these pieces up here and it's been sealed down, as they move, they will chip off. Keeping that sand level right down below that level there. So it's supposed to be anywhere from 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. So this is a good demonstration that shows you, I'm going to try to bring it up to the camera here a little bit, of where that sand level is supposed to be, the top of that black line. So that gives you a good definition of where that sand's supposed to be. So now, we carry a lot of different colors of sand. But I'm going to go through these very quickly. I'm going to tell you what I like to use them for. Now, sand is not something that we sell a ton of it. We use a lot of sand. But if you're looking to really increase, we can talk about how to get these. I get a lot of these sands straight from Florida Silicas. Some of them I get from Surebond. I really like their colored sand, but a lot of these I get from Florida Silica. So we're going to go through these. This is more just kind of a touch base for the new guys that really don't know the difference between all the different sands there. So I'm going to show a 2030 grit silica sand. Now I'm going to do the best I can here of showing this with the light. You can see here, it's got nice grains to it. A lot of contractors out there that are doing this like to use play sand. We tend to use the 2030 grit silica sand. This is kind of our standard in the industry for the professionals. As you can see, there's a nice grit that's there. We like the fact that you can wet sand this. You can dry sand it. The good thing about wet sanding is it's heavy enough to be able to push, but you can really move it into those joints. Now, eventually I am going to talk about the application aspects of the different sands. But so this is a good 20, 30 grit silica sand. I got it on a white piece of paper. I'm going to take it away so you can take a look at it there. Okay. So now we like doing this for your regular standard pavers. This is some with the medium-sized joints that are into it. It's easy for us to push in whether we're dry sanding, allows us to wet sand and fill up those joints from the bottom to the top. So this is a good 20, 30 grit silica sand. All right. So I'm going to throw this down here. All right. We're going to move over. Now, sometimes we want a little something that is a little bit finer, but we don't want a fine sand. So some people are moving from the 20, 30 grit pool sand is what a lot of people call. They're moving from that into a 30, 65 silica sand. So I'm going to show some of that. I'll put some of this down here, and you're going to see that it is almost to the consistency of a play sand, but because it's a really good silica sand, it has the ability to be a lot finer. So in Florida, we have a ton of travertine. So as you can see, it's a little finer. That's there. Okay. We have a lot of travertine. I'm going to try to turn the light up just a little bit, see if that makes any difference. Does that make it any better? Hope so. As you can see, it's a finer sand that's there. We have a lot of travertine, and sometimes those travertines get really, really close together, and it's difficult. Those stones get close together, getting the sand into the joint. Now, there are some people that say when they wet sand with 3065, it does have a tendency to float. So a lot of people will actually dry sand with the 3065 silica sand. So this is a good sand for dry sanding. We've been using it a lot. It's easy to push, but again, it doesn't have the powder that, for instance, play sand and some of the all-purpose sand that you get from Home Depot that's inside of it there, which can leave kind of a haze on top of those pavers, especially if you're dry sanding. Now, if you're wet sanding, you can typically get that off. That's there. So this is a good 3065 silica sand. All right. I'll throw this down here. Okay, now travertine. Yes, 3065 is finer than 3045. It is. It's a finer. It's a little bit finer than that. So we have fine glass that's here. Sorry about that. We got some phone calls coming in here. Someone's probably just trying to call in here. Okay. We'll let the answering service pick that up. So we have here, this is a glass, a fine glass. I'm going to change this here to show the fine glass. Now, what you're going to notice with this fine glass is that it has kind of a little bit of a green hue and a little bit of kind of a black pepper to it. This really does look great, especially when it gets wet. Bring this up here. Can you see it here? See how fine that is? This is really good for travertine, especially those really tight joints that you're dealing with. And those, even the pavers that are super tight together and you're trying to just push some sand down into the joints to give them a little bit more stabilization. We do like the fine glass, but again, we do like the 3065, and that's what we currently like for those short areas that are there. So this is fine glass. As you can see, it has a little bit of a green tint. I don't know if you can see that or not. When it gets dark, it has a little bit of a green hue to it. So you got to be kind of careful. Make sure you put it down. I'm going to talk about the process of selling sand too in just a little bit. All right, so now we're going to go into some fun stuff, some different kinds of sands. And we don't sell a lot of this next one, but there are people that like it. They have the nice big gaps that are in between, and they want to do something a little bit special. This is a very coarse glass. And this almost looks like jewels to a degree. I'm going to try to lay this out here. And we're going to go to coarse glass. Okay. Let's show this guy up here. Can you see it? There we go. We got a very coarse glass that's here. So this is showing a little bit more of the coarse glass that's there, so that you'd be able to kind of see. And we put that in between kind of the bigger gap pavers, and then put the sealer down onto it, and it locks it down. And as you can see, it's got kind of a glisten to it, kind of sparkles a little bit. So that's one of our that's one of the ones that we don't use a whole lot of, but we do like it. So that's coarse glass. Let's see what we got next here. Now we're going to get into our Surebond sands. This is what we use a lot of. We really like these sands here. They're screened, they're dried, they've got depth to them, they've got small pieces, they've got big pieces, they've got a little bit of everything into it. People that end up using it, and this is what we'll put down at a customer, especially if they have those the gray pavers, even the peach pavers. It looks really good inside there. Let's see if we can show you some of this gray sand. You see the gray sand there? It pushes in very easily. You can wet sand with it very easily. It does not float, so it allows you to be able to push it in there. But you can see that it's a good sand that will bond together with any type of sealer that you're using. Of course, you know, we're using a lot of Surebond sealers, but even Uraseal, Seal and Lock, all the different types of sealers that are out there, it will make this stuff really rock hard. This is not polymeric sand. We'll have a whole nother story about polymeric sand. So, so this is the tan sand that we have. All right. Moving right along, we're going to go to gray. Let's go to gray sand. Gray is for those kind of dark pavers, even the red pavers that are there. A lot of people will use gray inside of the reddish tinted pavers, colored pavers. And as you can see, it has more of a salt and pepper look to it. That's the gray. Now, whenever it does get wet and it is sealed, it's going to have a darker hue to it that's there. But as you can see, it's got a great salt and pepper to it. We really use a lot of gray. I really anticipated we'd be using more platinum, which I'll show you here in a second. But this is more of the gray sand that we cover that's here. So let's take that. And well, I got about 3 more sands to go here. 3 more sands here. All right, let's go to platinum. Now, this is really good for your dark pavers. When this actually gets sealed in and you put the seal, it looks like granite in between the pavers. I tell you, the customers that get this done, they love it. They think it's the greatest thing because it's not, it blends in with the pavers. It doesn't just give a white offset or a different color that comes along with it. So this is a really good, as you can see, I'm going to move this down to platinum here. This is platinum sand. You see how much darker it is? And it's really good for your dark pavers, the really dark, say dark gray that has black tones to it. Again, this really does look like granite whenever you put it down in between the pavers. So that is platinum. Okay. Now, red pavers. This is something that we have not done a lot of before, but we are starting to get more and more requests for it. When you have those really, really dark red pavers and they have the black inside of it there, this is something that we find is just amazing once you get it down in between those pavers. And this is our auburn sand. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it has an auburn red to it. And when you put this down in between the pavers, you got to be careful with wet sanding this because it has a tendency to float. But for the most part, you can really put this stuff down and it goes in between red pavers And the big, huge, like even with some of the pavers I've seen with Tremron makes that are really dark red, and you put this in between, and it is just absolutely incredible. It's got a little bit of a sparkle to it. It's a fine cut, so it will. It's got a little bit of black inside of it, so it looks like little pieces of pepper inside of it. So we do a lot of this for the red. So let me change my banner here. Sorry. This is Auburn red sand. Okay. Then some of you guys have seen this. Steve Sabella just did one down. Big shout out to my boy Steve Sabella down in West Palm Beach. Some people like this, some people don't, but we do. This is our Black Magic. Now, the interesting thing about Black Magic is that it should really only be used for pavers that are designed with exact widths to them. So you don't have pavers that are smashed up against each other, and they're, the ones that have the exact widths to them, whether it be a 1/4 inch or a little bit less than that. But when you have that, you can use Black Magic. Now, some people look at that and go, oh my gosh, it looks like mold and mildew. Well, if it's done correctly on the right pavers, gray pavers, even red pavers, but typically your gray, your dark gray colors that are there, and you put it into it, the advantage is if you get mold and mildew, you don't see it. Of course, if you don't do it on pavers that have exact lengths between each sides of those, you could possibly look like more mold and mildew. So it takes a special type of paver, and that when they're laid down, that the Black Magic looks just absolutely incredible inside of it, especially the deep dark gray pavers that are there. So that is our Black Magic. Now you can get all these from us. Of course, shipping and things are not easy with sand. You realize each one of these bags are 50 pounds. So you can always come by 3i Supply here in Oldsmar and get sand. We try to keep as much of it as possible. Always call beforehand before you do come. But if you're looking for us to ship it, we can ship it directly from us to you. Or if you're interested in buying pallets of it, then of course we can drop ship it there. But I'm not in a business of selling a lot of sand. That's not what we do, but we do have some of it available. We would like to be able to help you out with that, choose the right color sand for you, and then help you get into places. Like I said, Florida Silica Sands Company is kind of all over, obviously, Florida. There's other sand companies that are around, but this may give you an option to be able to do something different for your customers. When we go to a job, we sit down with the customer, we talk to them about it. We actually pull out the multiple different colors of sands that we have. We find an area that doesn't have any sand, and we explain to them, this is where the sand is supposed to be. This is where it's going to be, and we put 3 or 4 different sands down for them to take a look and let them choose the type of sand that they like. So by choosing that, it gives them empowerment of kind of their own destiny of which direction that they want to go in. We'll also put a logo down that says platinum, tan, 2030, 3065, all these different ones out of there. And then we'll leave a water bottle with them. And by leaving that water bottle, a lot of times we're there and it's just the husband or it's just the wife, and they need to consult with the other person before making a decision which type of sand that they want. So we leave that water bottle just simply because it allows them to spray the pavers. It allows them to spray the sand into the joints and then see what that sand is going to look like after it's been sealed, because it's going to look different whenever it's wet compared to, or sealed whenever compared to what it looks like when it's dry. So we leave a little $1 spray bottle. I can't tell you how many people say, hey, you left your spray bottle. No, we left that for you because we want you to be able to show your significant other. And when they get home and they see these labels that are there, we also put down a sample of sealer too, so that they can see what it looks like with the actual sealer on one of their brick pavers. When we do the job, we strip that off. And of course, if somebody wants us to come by and strip it off, we do that. What we do is spray that down so they're able to see it. So it allows them to continue on with the decision-making process even though we're not there. So if I were to suggest one thing that has increased our ability to sell at higher prices, to hold our value up, to separate us from other sealing companies, I would say that by offering multicolored sands has allowed us to do something different that really increases the value for really not much more money. So that's a kind of a tip from us, from Mike Kilgore Jr. and Sr. He's obviously very big into this. With 3i Supply, we hope that you will come by and visit us on the website, which is 3, the letter I, supply.net, or give us a call, 727-388-4969. Again, we're always here to help, and hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you.